Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Lines. This is the podcast by Lions of Liberty. We're dedicated to supporting our veterans and first responders and offering fishing trips and outdoor adventures as an outlet for mental health, PTSD, or just a moment to recharge. I'm be your host today. My name is Mike Stevens. I'm bringing along with me Captain Scott Bacon and the legend, the myth, Captain Gene Hammond. And
Oh, lofty.
today we're gonna rip over some our winter redfish bite and ask these guys um, just what the heck we're looking for and some of the best practices when you're out there on the water. And maybe we'll help you come up with a successful hookup. Definitely good for our region. Uh, Before we get rolling, though, don't forget to go down and subscribe. All of our socials are in our about section below here on the YouTube. Obviously, the more people that follow us, the more the word gets spread, and the more people we can help. So, with that being said, how's it going, guys? Captain Gino?
Doing good, man. It's a little cold here in South Florida. Cold. It's like 40
Yeah, right.
degrees in the morning. It's like, ah. I was supposed to get up and go red fishing this morning, but my neighbor canceled on me. So we didn't go. It was just a little too chilly.
You didn't want to brave that 37-degree this morning before the sun
I
came
did
up?
not. Nope. Nope.
Not very Florida-like.
It is not. It is not. But the redfish bite is good here in the Gulf, in Gulf Harbors. Been
Oh,
real good.
man. Definitely want to jump into that. Scott, how about you? You ready for some red fishing this winter?
Oh, definitely, definitely. The bite's heating up and has heated up, and we're doing pretty good. And yeah, it's as Gene said, it's quite cold, and we get those cold mornings, warm days, and when it heats up, man, the redfish are heating up. So it's always good
Very
that
good.
way, and it's always a
Let's
good
do
bite. So
Absolutely.
It
Let's do a
is.
little bit of housekeeping real quick, guys. We are going to try to get these podcasts out once a week. We're hoping to be live eventually after we work out some of the wrinkles. We'll do one live on Sunday evenings around this 7 o'clock p.m. hour on the East Coast. And we're going to eventually publish one that kind of tells you about the whole team, right? You're going to see different folks floating through here. But just a real quick hello and introduction from each of us would be great. I'm Mike Stevens. I'm the treasurer over at Lions of Liberty, part of the original founding members, Captain Gene and Captain Scott. Um, are going to introduce themselves and tell us what they're doing.
Gino,
Yeah, Captain Gene Hammond here, president and CEO of Lines of Liberty. I don't do any of this stuff without you guys. I mean, it's just I'm just fishing, man. Trying to get as many veterans and first responders on the water as possible, and maybe the Lord of lofty titles, as
nice.
you introduced me. But anyway, yeah, I'm just here to help as many people as I can and raise as much awareness to our cause as possible.
Nice.
And then behind the scenes, running this board and this software for us is the one, the only Scott Bacon. Tell everybody just a little bit about you.
Well, so Vice President Scott Bacon, obviously, I'm here, Lines of Liberty, Air Force veteran. Joined the group a few years ago, and we've been fishing and doing things ever since. And just working here, trying to increase our social media, trying to get a little bit more juice going for us, and obviously just trying to get some fishing in too. So
Right. All right. So you said get some fishing in. So today we decided let's talk about that redfish bite. It's really what's happening right now. We could have done it on the sheep's head too, but the redfish are definitely hot. Um, I'm going to kind of take the back seat a little bit here. You guys are even more degenerate than I am about fishing. And Captain Gene, these are your home waters. For those of you who are
Yeah.
seeing us for the first time, we're in the greater Newport Richey, Port Richey, Hudson area. A pretty amazing fishery for redfish, winter and summer, in my opinion. But right now we're in those winter months, and things change. And if you had to just highlight, just for now, your top couple of strategies when you're setting up a day and you're looking at conditions and you're looking at temperatures and winds and all that. What are you looking for to say this is what's going to make me the most successful for a redfish bite today?
Yeah, so so lately, the tides early morning have been very low. It is definitely harder to catch a good amount of redfish, in my opinion, when the tide is low because I don't know where they go to deeper water, deeper potholes. But I tend to, I definitely pay attention to the tides, and I always try to catch the last half of that incoming tide, and then I'll scout the estuary from there. Around points, maybe some points with some structure, whether it be oyster beds or mangrove shorelines, wind protected shorelines. But you know, I have to get better at finding those redfish at low tides. Like I just wait. Like if I had a trip scheduled and the sun rises around 7 a.m., 7:30 or whatever, and it's dead low tide at 8, I'm gonna tell those veterans to wait a few hours and take them out at 11 or noon so I can get some running water and more water into those estuaries where we fish. And when I go out, I'm always on the bow of my boat with the trolling motor going, looking for bait fish scattering. Once I see bait fish, you're not necessarily always going to see birds diving or bait fish
Yeah, not
slapping the
inshore.
surface. Yeah, not inshore. Sometimes you will, but I go to where I see bait, and then I just try to fish those areas. And lately, I've been on the last couple of trips, like 2 or 3 trips ago. We had shrimp, live shrimp, cut bait, cut mullet, cut everything, and none of it got taken. But all of my artificials, the little Polk County tweaker from Salt Strong, um, the shrimps, the artificial shrimps, they all got eaten by trout and redfish, but none of the live bait got touched. So
Hold that thought for a second because I want to get into a whole piece of the program when we talk about bringing live bait or bringing lures and stuff. Right now, we're just trying to find location. And one of the things that you taught me when I first got here, because I was newer to the saltwater game, you were saying you're trying to catch the back half of that incoming. And if a novice is looking at the tide chart, you're looking for like the steepest part of that tide where the water's coming the fastest, right? And you're looking for those points because bait gets pushed around those corners, right? And fish are ambush predators. They're going to wait and watch for that bait to come through. And hopefully one of them is your lure or your live bait that come through there. And that's where you're maximizing your bite. I'm going to turn over to Scott for a second because I know you have a philosophy that's really similar. Um, but
let
in
me
that
can
bayou,
I clarify that tide
yeah,
switch?
yeah,
So you have an ebb and a flow, right? You
right,
have a dead low tide, and then you have flood.
right.
So about just before the halfway point of the flood version is what
Mhm.
I'm looking for. When
Right.
it gets too high, like 2.5 to 3 feet in our area, those fish are pushing way back up into the mangroves,
Yes.
and
Yes. Then you can hear them
sometimes you
back there
can't get them.
popping.
So the last half of the incoming tide is more successful for me, and then maybe the middle part of the outgoing.
There you go.
Um, yeah.
Exactly. Cool. Now, Scott, I know you fish some different areas. There's some bayous that you like to target. And especially now in the winter months, does the temperature have anything to do with it? I know I'll hear you say things like, well, I want to find some of this mud or this area where I know they're holding the bottom to keep a little warmer and stuff. What can you get into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. A little different than what Gene does. I've been fishing canals, so a little bit deeper water. Um, Obviously, because it is cold, I got that deeper water. They can curl up in there. I've been finding them closer to some freshwater creeks. Down a ways, not in the creek, but closer to that, where the water again is a little bit warmer. Um, I found just lately, I know Gene said he did soft plastics, but we've really been killing them on shrimp right on the bottom. It doesn't work if they're off the bottom. I don't know if those redfish, are just really slow because of the cold, but right on the bottom just seems to be the piece there. And like, Gene said, well, a little different is, because we have those deeper holes on low tide, we can fish those deeper holes, and seems that the fish are kind of in there. They're just very slow. Once that tide starts coming in, that water's moving, boy, they are feeding, and they are feeding good. And, it's shrimp. I think, yeah, last weekend you caught one on cut bait still, which is not what I would normally use in the winter, but it worked. So, I mean, that was pretty good. So,
Yeah, I go back and forth between that soft plastics and live bait. There was one
yeah,
morning, probably about a month and a half ago, my neighbor and I went out and with shrimp only, I think we caught like 15 or 16 redfish in
yeah.
an hour.
Good
Yeah,
lord.
Like when they're hot,
and
they're
that was
hot.
that when they're feeding, they're on. And another thing, another strategy that I've kind of adopted is when I'm soaking baits or throwing lures around, I'm moving around quite a bit, but I'm not sticking in one spot for more than 15 or 20 minutes if there's no
Yeah,
bites.
that's a good point.
Um, yeah, you got to move.
Do you try everything though, Gino? Like that's a
I do.
question
Yeah,
I always struggle with. Like I try to have like a live bait pole and then a lure pole, and I'm like, okay, if I try both for those 15 minutes, then I'll pull out. But sometimes, you get stuck in that RoboCast, right? And I'm like, well, I haven't really tried live bait. Should I give it a shot? Or are you like I got a lure in each pole and I'm rolling every 15 minutes? And how do
I'll
you?
typically always throw at least one or two poles out and just let them soak on the bottom.
Okay.
Um, Small 1/0 or 2/0 circle hook with a split shot, no float, and
Mhm.
I'll just throw it out there, and while that's soaking, I'm throwing a lure around. Now on the veterans trips, it's mostly all live bait and all cut bait. Very rarely, until I know the talent level of the veteran that's on the boat, that we
Right.
do a lot of artificial. Mostly
Gotcha.
it's cut bait and shrimp.
And we have a little bit of something for everybody, right? If there's an experienced angler out there, we have the gear, believe us, right? Between
Yeah,
Scott and Pete and I.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you wanna make 1,000 casts, we got the gear for you. And if you're a novice and you need us to bait your hook, we'll bait the hook, right? That's just how it goes. We're
And
all
I'm
we're all
still
about
learning. I'm still learning this inshore fishery. Like I'm as you guys know, I'm primarily an offshore guy. That's what I've
Mhm.
always done. And this inshore, it's a different ball game. It is a totally different ball game.
Yeah,
Definitely.
there's a
You're
skill set for sure, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, what was it, what was I gonna say? 3 weeks ago, we were fishing together here, and you caught a trout in the back, and I said, "I've never caught a trout over here." And,
yeah.
since then, we've been just killing them. I mean,
Yeah,
big,
we can't stop
gator
catching
trout. I
them.
mean, I've never seen them in the canals like that, and, I know they're here, but I just never caught them like that, and they're
Yeah.
everywhere. So it's like, always changing, always something, and again, hitting on that point I'd like to talk about is that movement, like you talked, as being up on the trolling motor, 15 minutes, move, and go to the next
Yeah.
spot and keep going. And I mean, usually once you find them, there's one or two there. So we might fish a little bit longer just to make sure, but then move to the next. So it's all good.
Another thing is, we're creatures of habit, right? We typically
Yeah.
always go to the same areas, the same places,
Spot.
the same stuff. One day fishing with Mike, we're fishing a perfect area, a deep trough along a mangrove line. And Mike was just like, you know what? I'm going to throw one out here in the middle of nowhere. And sure enough, I think he caught a 25 or 26-inch
Yeah.
redfish.
Yeah, it
So
was the opposite day. I'm like, "Gino, I wanna try all the I'm gonna do everything wrong for 10 minutes and see what happens," right?
Well,
yeah,
I
do
think that,
that. Change it up a little bit, especially in the wintertime. Get deeper into that estuary. Get further as far back as you can go. Because
I think That might be a Mike thing though, because I got a story with Mike that same way as fishing one of my favorite corners, and it's lower tide. Tide's just starting to come up, and we're set, and I'm throwing in the hole, and all of that, and Mike's throwing over toward the shore a little bit, and I'm like, Mike, there's a rock right there. There's not much room. There's nothing there. No, no, no. I'm gonna stay there. I'm gonna stay there, and I'm throwing and throwing and throwing, and I catch a fish, catch a little redfish, catch a little redfish. Next thing I know, I look at Mike's making some weird noises off the back of the boat, and I look, he's got a keeper red on there. I'm like, what
There
the
you
hell?
go.
That in that little small area you caught that? But hey, you never know where they are. You never know.
You never know, dude.
No. That's a lesson I've been learning through this fishing with you guys and fishing on my own and everything is if the goal is to really hook up, and let's be honest, or I'll be honest, for me, the goal is to get out, right? I want to be out on that water. That's where I get my peace. That's why I do this for the vets and the first responders, because I know the peace and the joy that it gives me to be out there. But if I'm determined to catch, you got to bring it all, man. You better bring little bit of cut bait. You better bring a little live bait. You better have your tackle boxes loaded up with some different presentations. And maybe that's a good segue for this. Is Scott shows here, smiling baby
There
brother
it
with a
is.
redfish.
That's right.
There's
There's
Captain
Gino.
Gino. That's a
Yeah, good
monster.
redfish there.
Yeah, man. It's
These are
Is that
some of the
Chad?
trips. I think that was a Captain Mike Dawson trip. There you
yeah. I'm
go.
gonna slow her down a little
Those
bit here.
pictures were done about this time last spring, and that was way up in the river, man. That looks like it's over by,
We
my,
don't say our spots.
I don't care.
Well, I put this one in there, Gino. This came out of one of your collections. It's not the greatest picture. It's not the biggest redfish, but put it in there because of what else I saw there. So
Yeah,
what
Power prawn.
talk about what do you got there?
Yeah, that's just a soft plastic shrimp. And one thing Bill Rutherford from Vet Catch taught me when I fished with him is these soft plastic shrimps. I used to move them like mid water column. He's like, you
Hmm.
got to slow that thing down, man. Shrimp during the day are crawling on the bottom as slow as they can, and they might twitch every once in a while, but slow that thing down in the wintertime, big time, where it's
Oh,
just barely moving. And that was very successful a couple of weeks ago. And there's Pops.
Yeah,
there's
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 Mikey's dad.
Dad. That's right. There he is.
That's a good sized redfish there. What do you remember that one?
That I think that might have been the trip we took up north to Homosassa, Mike. When we
Nice.
were fishing the
That's my
flats up
boat
in
though.
Homosassa.
No,
No, that
is
looks
that
like
my
Gino's
boat?
boat
I think that's the
or
big
somebody
boat,
else's.
Gino. Where did we put the
Oh,
big boat in for redfish? That's
hmm.
weird.
No,
Anyway,
that's the Hughes. I can see the seat. It's the Hughes.
Oh, it sure is. I'm sorry. I got
Yeah,
confused with the gunnel. Look at that thing. Look at how young that guy looks.
yeah, look at that.
that was just yesterday.
Yeah, there's Teresa with a. This was only a couple
Nice
weeks ago.
redfish.
Yeah, that was two
Yeah.
weeks
So
ago. Good
yeah,
on
So
him.
nice.
what was
I
that?
think that
Was
was.
that
Go
was
ahead.
that soft plastics,
Well,
artificials,
look,
or
No,
just
that's
kind of
shrimp.
stay on this for a second. This is perfect, right? So Gino just said you're looking for the points and looking for the incoming tide and for the where it's going to funnel. And literally, Teresa, if you look back behind her, you'll see where the canal goes in, and you can kind of see off to the right of that photo. The water's coming in from that way. It's flowing out in there, and she was fishing that corner right where Scott had her with a shrimp
Yep.
on the bottom out there, and boom,
Yeah.
just like Gino wrote it up, like the playbook, man. Shrimp
Absolutely.
on the
That's a.
yeah, another thing I like to do with the soft plastics, even live bait, is fish with the current because those fish are going to be facing the current, facing the current.
Yep.
If they see a bait fish go against the current ahead of them, I just think they're waiting for bait and stuff to come to them, right?
Absolutely.
There's a Captain Mike Dawson trip right there.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Captain Mike Dawson. Shout out to him. I mean, he helped these veterans out and sent them out on. We put them out on the water and look at the fish that they picked up. And maybe Gene, you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I don't. This was about 6 to 8 months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
was fishing down by the Anklo power plant area. Mike Dawson, on most charters, is all cut bait, cut
Yep.
pinfish or pinfish cut bait. Just leave it out there and soak, and that guy knows where the fish are at. These veterans
Absolutely.
were definitely happy. That's a big over 30-inch redfish there. Nice one.
Absolutely. All right, let's shift gears for a second. Keep showing those awesome
Okay.
fish pictures. Um,
That
let's
was a
talk
U.S.
about
Army veteran right there. I'm sorry, Mike,
go.
but that was an overslot redfish on a live whitebait.
Wow.
And this is Travis, U.S. Army veteran. One thing I learned from him is how to hook a pilchard. Um, the way he does it, he
Right.
takes it on the underneath side of it where the pectoral fins are at,
Hmm.
and
Mhm.
runs the circle hook through there. That way, the fish tries to swim up. The circle hook never gets fouled. A
Yep.
lot of times when you nose hook them, the circle hook will come back around and foul itself. But when they do grab it, you don't hook up. So since that trip right there, I've been hooking in the pectoral fin.
Okay, before you talk about this next picture, because I know there's going to be a story for the next picture.
There's a story.
Okay, that pilchard trick you showed me after you learned it, and there's something else about that. It doesn't injure the fish very much at all, right? There's
No,
almost like a natural spot to hook it in there, and I had some really good hookups when I was using that. All right, put his giant redfish back up, Scott. He wants to tell
that's the PB right
Giant,
there.
giant. I used the zoom on that one. That wasn't that big.
So, Captain Gino,
Yeah.
tell us about
So this
your little redfish there.
So you can see there I'm on my 2470 Pursuit. And this was a while ago. I am in 10 to 15 feet of water, trolling for gag grouper in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like I always do, I always have, they're going to laugh at me about it, but I had ballyhoo on the boat, and I was trolling ballyhoo for Spanish mackerel.
Mm,
And that line goes off, and that's what grabbed it in about 15 feet of water.
wow.
Um,
Nice
it,
bull red there, huh?
it tried to eat
A
a
whole
ballyhoo.
ballyhoo.
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
Well,
Well,
apparently he
just like
did,
we
huh?
said earlier, there's strategy, there's plans, and
Yeah.
then there's the Lord laughing at your planning, right? That's
Right.
And we don't see the bull redfish like this on our coast like they do on the East Coast estuaries or
or
even
even
up
in the
north.
panhandle, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But this was a good one, and they're out there. I've also caught redfish this size in 75 feet of water, 40 miles out, 30 miles out,
Wow.
just bottom
Wow.
fishing.
Mm, hmm.
Um, um, Over 30 inches, yeah.
There's two clones. Look at
I
that. That wouldn't.
don't know
I
who
don't think.
caught that one. I think Mike caught that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
All
good
right, so
picture.
let's switch it up. Let's talk about some baits, guys. Let's stray off the live bait. I think that's another day. We can kind of go back and talk to folks about that. But the world of soft plastics and hard baits and whether I should be using suspended or top water or diving baits, blah blah. I mean, it's infinitely crazy, right? So we have some pictures that are going to come up, and maybe we can talk about like the best time to use the particular style, or maybe just personal choices at a certain point. Um, if Scott's, oh, look at that, Scott on cue. So here's some hard baits, right? And what I tried to give us is a couple different size profiles, right? And then at the top, you have some crankbaits that have these shallow lips because we're talking about redfish today, right? That top right hand one is going to be the skinny lipper. It's going to dart. It's going to dive from 1 foot down to 5 foot. Same thing with that Yozuri red and white one. And then the two in the center and the two on the bottom are what we call suspended baits. They're going to sit just below the surface, and as you reel or twitch, they're going to dive a little bit, wiggle back and forth, make some stuff happen. Like you can see, one looks like a pinfish, the other ones are just shiny. One looks like a greenback. But guys, let's talk about Um, when are you going to these? When you're talking about targeting redfish? You wanna go first, Gino?
Probably for me and a little bit deeper grass flat area. Well, let's talk about the shallow stuff. If it's 2 feet or less, I'm probably putting on that skinny lipper or something that floats and doesn't sink too fast.
Mhm.
That skinny lipper is a great choice for because it'll float and you can almost work it like a top water if you're slow enough. And when you do twitch it, it's only going down about 4 to 6 inches. So
Right.
that's a great choice for 2 feet or less. My go-tos on hard plastics would probably be those the middle one on the right there,
The
that looks like
pinfish
a
pattern?
pinfish. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that MR17 bottom left.
Right.
A
Those are
little
these
bit,
are most of these are mirror lure, right?
yeah, a
So,
little bit deeper grass flat area
mhm.
is where
Like
I'd use
5
those.
feet,
Yep, 4 to 5 feet.
4 or 5 feet? Okay. And you vary it by the bait, right? If you see bigger bait, you wanna kinda, we have an old saying from freshwater fishing is "match the hatch," right, Scott?
Absolutely.
And, I think it's similar with saltwater, wouldn't you say, Scott? Kinda looking at what the bait is and trying to match up?
Yeah, yeah. Again, I think Gene, going back to what he was talking about earlier, is seeing what bait is popping, see what bait is in there, and then kind of try to match that lure to it. Like, you got the pinfish, you got the greenback. So if you're seeing greenbacks, obviously seeing some blowups around the greenbacks, you're gonna throw that greenback. If all else fails, there's pinfish always around, so you'll throw that pinfish color. I personally like that pinfish color. I mean, that's one I go with. It works pretty good. Seems to be what they are after here. But I just started using that skinny lipper. I know it's some of you guys, like Gene said, he likes that or whatever, but I never really cared for it. But as I get into the bayou and working the shallower water and stuff like that, it does work pretty good because it doesn't get hung up as much. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
Doesn't it?
it's
Yeah,
it works
and
pretty good. So
those inline hooks on that thing are pretty good too. I'll tie that on when I need a little more flash, if it's muddy water or lower light conditions.
mhm,
I'll tie that thing on and work it pretty fast.
okay.
Now, we
Work,
we
work
could
it
talk
real
about
fast.
this stuff all day, but I wanna move us forward just a little bit. We have one more set of hard, baits to look at, and those are top waters, guys. Um, and you can pick who goes first. Talk to me about the top waters.
Gene,
Yeah,
that's yours,
I'm
When
buddy.
is it
You're
appropriate?
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not throwing these after an hour after sunrise
Mhm.
or an hour before sunset. I only throw these top waters when it's super calm and right at sunrise and right at sunset in lower light conditions. And when you see a redfish come out of the water to grab one of these things,
Yeah,
it's great. There's nothing better than a top water bite.
Oh
It
my
really
goodness,
is.
I get chills thinking about it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I just don't have the success rate or strike rate um, using those things during the middle of the day for whatever reason.
God, are you a
Oh,
big user on these?
Um, no, but actually, Gene got me going on them actually, and
Yeah, me too.
like you said, that that first time I ever used it, I popped a snook on it, and you're hooked. There is
yeah,
nothing more exciting than seeing that thing miss it twice and
the
then come
best.
halfway out of the water getting it. It is. But again, Mike or Gene, I wanted to go back here. Doing topwater bait is an art. It's not something that's
Ooh.
easy. I never realized. I'm like, how to use this? Just crank it in or something like that. And it took me a little bit to master it. So, Gene or Mike, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, if you get just a little twitch pros on that top water bait, you want to be able to take all the slack out of your line and twitch it where it flips back and forth like that, right?
Right.
And
Here, I'll tell you
get
something
it
that you
dog
told me.
walking.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you told me go to the Salt Strong stuff, right, and check out their walk the dog techniques for the top
Mm,
waters, right?
There you go.
And they have a really good live tutorial to show you how it's almost like a constant tap, tap, tap once you get that tight, and it
Yep.
just goes across the top of the water like this the whole time. It's pretty
right,
neat.
right.
Um, and I didn't catch anything until I went out and learned that because I was watching him. I'm like, how the hell does he do that? Right. And I had to go sit down and
It's
watch the video and right. And then I got it. I threw it in my pool a few times, right? Trying
Yeah,
to
I'm
figure it
not. I'm normally not constant back and forth like that. I'm a more of a twitch pause kind of guy.
out. Okay.
More
Okay.
more erratic with those top
mm,
waters.
All right.
okay.
Sweet.
I threw
Yep.
one of those. I was fishing my home waters, and a jet ski went right where I was fishing, and I threw one of those nearly directly behind that jet ski, and as it went through, and just kind of steaming, and I
Uh-huh.
twisted a couple of times, and a redfish came up and grabbed it right when the jet ski went through. It was amazing.
Oh my
Mm,
God.
Yeah.
nice.
That's hilarious. All right. We got to talk about soft plastics though, right? I
Oh yeah.
mean, for me, throwing lures, this is probably my favorite lures types. And you know what I didn't put in there? I think Scott has some more pictures. We need some pictures of the soft plastic shrimps. But this array, there's a couple of things, for a novice to learn here. Is that the one on the far left is called the paddle tail because of that big fat wide paddle, and the one with the little split tail or point on the tail is going to be called a jerk shad, right? And we'll let the guys get into the differences in when we use those. My favorite combination to use on these is going to be a twist lock, and a couple manufacturers have a twist lock, but there's a spring looking twist. You put it in the tip, and then you put that hook all the way through the bait, back of the bait, making sure it still rides straight, and then you just skin hook that tip. And when these are going through the water, it's doing the fall and the twitch and the fall. So there's a couple ways to retrieve them, right? There's the twitch method, and then you can do a slow roll. Like when I'm fishing for trout, I'll slow roll those and like slow to medium speed over the top of that grass flat. That usually entices a bite. But there are so many different types of this thing to go for. You could spend a lifetime digging through the different
Well,
colors and the different
let's go back to
profiles. But
that picture real quick. I'll
yep.
go back to that picture.
Getting there,
That
getting there.
big bomber, the third one over.
Hmm.
So when you hook these things up and you use anything less than a 4/0
Yep.
circle hook, um, I for some reason I'll have fish grab it and I don't get the hookup rate because
Mm.
that
Yeah.
body is so big, it doesn't allow enough room for the hook to come out and snag something. So if you're using a bigger bomber bait like that third one over, use a 4 or 5/0 hook
Yep.
so it can travel um, out of the body of that paddle tail to get a hookup.
Yeah, what I've been using recently with that is putting on there
Ooh,
some different, the a jig with an eye on it, just
yeah.
a fixed hook,
Uh-huh.
or something like this. I've been, using that a little bit more than the straight, like owner's twist lock or something. And I don't know what it is. I seem to get a little bit more action. I won't say it's always better. I just get more action. I think it goes down straighter than that twist lock a little bit. Um, and I think because you're so afraid to hook up on the bottom because you're not really burying that hook and making it weedless, that you're keeping it just off the top a little bit, so it's not dropping and stopping, and maybe that action, that little bit of action of up and down is giving it a little bit more of um
Like
enticing
the
that
fish
fish a little
trigger,
bit more.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, with that, sorry, hold on, I screwed up the pictures there. So I apologize. With that is going back to those paddle tails. You have your
Grouse
typical paddle
layers.
tails. Yeah,
Grouse
I just
layers, right?
used this picture to kind of show the paddle tails, or You can fix a jerk bait, soft plastic jerk bait on that. I do get better responses on those in the summertime. I don't know, Gene, how about you? But for me, I use those more in the summer. So
Yeah, summertime.
Give me paddle tail and jerk bait. Oh man, this is one of my favorites here. But
had to
just
throw a
talk me
Z-Man
before we
net
talk
in there.
about the
So
power prawn. You're killing me. The paddle tail and the jerk bait. Do you guys have a standard that you go to? Like I like to use paddle tails mostly for this, or jerk baits mostly for that, or a condition or anything, or is it just
You
getting a
try them
feel for
all.
what's up? Try them.
Try them all.
yeah,
Scott, do you
yeah.
have anything on that or no? Same thing. Try them all.
I think well, obviously you can cover more ground, different times because you're moving constantly, and throwing up under the mangroves or finding those deep pocket holes. But yeah, I like Gene said, I think it's just try and figure out, matching the colors to
Right.
what's in there, to the bait and all of that. It's an art form, I guess.
And if they want to eat, right? I mean,
Yeah,
even the offshore fishery, we could pull up on a spot and see all kinds of stuff on the bottom, but they just don't want to eat.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Sometimes you just gotta wait a little while.
And
Right.
that power prawn, that soft plastic shrimp that Scott had up there,
This one.
um, yeah, those
Yeah.
are tough to beat. And look, those rigs that we showed you, the ones with the twist lock that are weedless, the one with the fisheye that Scott had, there's ones with just a, a gray metal bead head that Gene uses a lot, right,
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
these
yeah,
ones. And all of, shrimps, and that weight takes it down, it hits the bottom, and it looks like a shrimp tail, guys, and they just bounce it and just bounce it. And you
yeah.
play the current right. If you bounce it the right way where it comes in with the current, I mean, that's a great redfish lure. But you'll also pick up some of Scott's favorite fish if you're doing that, and that's
Oh yeah.
a lot of flounder doing it like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah,
Slow
Gene's
it
going to be
down.
definitely.
that. Gene's
Definitely.
a flounder guy too. That's right.
Yeah.
Wintertime, just slow it way down. Slow it
Yep.
down.
Yep.
All right,
Good.
now you boys and I, we could do this all day with the lures and the live bait and the different stuff.
Right, right.
But looks like we're about 40 minutes in, and what am I missing? Am I missing an important message for the winter redfish here? Is there something that we're leaving out, or do we need
Well,
more
just get
time?
on the water. That's really
Get
Yeah,
the
on the
just
key.
get
water,
out
right?
there.
Get on
You
the
know,
water. Get out there. Enjoy this. Take a veteran. Take a first responder. Take an officer. Take somebody out on the water with you.
And if you
Uh,
know someone who needs to get out,
yeah,
guess what?
absolutely. Go ahead.
Here we
Yep.
are. Look, the key takeaways on this one is that um, fishing those steep parts of those tides, staying away from the super high and the super low. Look for moving water. Bring an array of baits, whether it be live baits or hard or soft plastic baits, right? Just come prepared. Be that Boy Scout, right? Come with a, a little bit of everything in the lunchbox, ready to rock and roll. And it'll increase your chances of success. And stay on the move, right? That's what
Yeah,
Captain
stay on the
Sheila
move.
absolutely.
from
Don't be
Bulldog says.
afraid to change it up, right? Go out
Right.
in the middle of the flats and try it for a few minutes.
Yep.
Sometimes
The
they're
Gene
there.
always says you got to move after a certain amount of time to give it another try. Because why, Gene? Because
Yeah,
fish have
they have
tails,
tails.
and they
And
move, man. They
Absolutely.
never leave fish to go find fish.
move. Excellent.
Well,
Well,
I
if
might
Scott gets
disagree with
tired
you.
of a species, yeah, if Scott gets
So,
tired of a species, he's moving. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
catches 13,000 ladyfish, he might switch it up.
But you heard what he said there. If I get tired of a species, that means I'm catching fish.
That's
I'm
right.
going to
That's right.
find
Yeah.
different fish. So,
Going to find different fish.
it's all good.
So listen, for the folks that are watching here today, we are just cutting our teeth on this YouTube channel stuff and getting the podcast going weekly. You're going to see guests roll through here, um, maybe some other veterans organizations, maybe some local folks, maybe a veteran's story. Gino does a really good job of talking to folks that have had experiences, right? Especially after you spend a day with them on the boat. We'll kind of reel them back in and maybe get them on a podcast. So be looking forward to seeing that. But what I want to encourage everybody to do is we have a comment section. If there's something that a topic you want us to cover, we're not the foremost experts, but there's a good chance that if we don't know what we're talking about, then we know somebody who does, right?
Yeah.
So put something that you want to see on this channel. It's going to be your channel, right? We are simply here to provide entertainment and content. And let's face it, guys, this is the way that things grow now, right? The social media. That's why we have our link in the bottom here under our about info is all of the links to all of our socials, right? If we were to monetize this channel or any of our social media, rest assured, all those funds are going back into serving our veterans and first responder community. I want you to be confident in that. I want you to go to the .org, linesofliberty.org, and register for our newsletter. And in that newsletter and on our website, you'll start seeing everything from the veterans that we're taking out to the financials for the charity, because we're a 501c3 and that stuff is public, guys. So our call to action today is if you enjoyed this episode and you want to see some more, please subscribe, share it with a friend, leave us a review to help us get some more listeners or improve what we're doing. You can support Lines of Liberty by visiting our website and following us on all the other social media. So with that said, boys, I'll go around the room here and give you guys your final thoughts.
Good stuff, Mikey. I appreciate you guys for setting all this up and doing all the back end work. I'm horrible at it and getting the videos up and pictures while I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So thank you.
Yeah.
Any final words, Mr. Bacon?
Yes, I do. We talk about our podcasts and our video casts and our live streams that we're going to be coming up with, but also keep a lookout for all those videos of taking veterans out. Check out our Instagram. There's always post up there. We're going to put more stuff up on our YouTube that just have cuts. There'll be some team interviews that we did that we talked to some of our different people like Gene, you, myself, some jingles, and I think Teresa was in there, and we got to get Chad. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that are going to be up there. So again, like those ones, it just helps us out. So.
And if
Every
you want to
little bit
stay
helps.
organized, sorry. Yes, that's right. You want to stay organized with the content. This podcast series are going to be called Lines of Liberty. It'll be Beyond the Lines, right? If you see series on our channel that are titled Liberty Adventures, that's going to be our fishing trips. You can go out and watch us catch the fish and put a smile on a veteran's or a first responder's face. And then our newsletter is called the Liberty Line. So hopefully that helps you stay organized, and you're following us everywhere because it's going to be a good watch. We're just going to ramp things up in 2025. We're going to get a bigger social media presence, and we're going to build this thing so it just helps us put more and more and more ladies and gentlemen on the water, our local heroes, because doggone it, it was a lot of great therapy for me. I know for Captain Gino, I know Scott, that's where he gets his peace of mind is when he takes his trips
Absolutely.
out there. So help us share that with the rest of the world with these deserving local heroes, folks. And with
Let's
that,
do it.
we will sign off here from
Great
Beyond
job,
the
guys.
Lines of Liberty.
All right, thanks.
Sean, guys.